Harvest in the Fields, a ministry out of Harvest Baptist Church in Dawsonville, Georgia. Me and my wife, Jana, and our son, Johnny, serve as missionaries distributing gospel literature and supplies for missionaries around the world that they may continue the work that God has called them to. Romans 12:13 tells us, distributing to the necessity of the saints, given to hospitality. This is the focus and desire of our hearts, to distribute unto the necessity of the saints, that they may continue the work that God has called them to. Our desire is to supply the needs necessary for missionaries to perform the work of spreading the gospel in the field God has placed them. We provide literature such as Bibles, tracts, John and Romans, and other materials consisting of Christian coloring books and personally designed media cards to help spread awareness of the work being done by the missionary.
El equipo que ha hecho posible que nos llegue este material, ya que es...
We have also been able to collect clothes that are still in great condition for preachers and their wives, whether that be nationals or preachers and their families here in the States. One thing that we want to emphasize is that we are not only here to supply and to distribute, but also willing to be hands-on and work alongside our missionaries to spread the gospel. In verse number 7,
En el verso número 7,
Harvest in the Fields is a product of a burden that the Lord has been cultivating for many years. I've been serving exclusively in the country of Mexico for 10 years. In 2014, the first shipment of tracts was sent to Mexico, and God used that to further the burden in my heart for literature distribution. Working alongside the people of Mexico has created a desire not just to involve myself in missions, but to encourage those who have already accepted the call in any avenue of missions. Our desire is to see Harvest in the Fields grow to the extent that we're able to help missionaries all around the world, because there's a lot of missionaries that are coming off the field due to discouragement. There's an epidemic of people not accepting the call to be missionaries, and if we can encourage a missionary to stay on the field, if we can encourage a young person to accept the call to go to the field, that's the desire of our hearts, is to not just be someone to put literature in the hands of the missionary, but to be able to put our arms around the missionary, to love on them, to encourage them. And Harvest in the Fields has already been able to take a missions trip to Mexico, and we've recently bought a piece of property in Mexico so that we can establish a distribution center there, and as well as talking with other missionaries in Honduras, New Mexico, anywhere that we can get a contact, that we can be able to encourage these missionaries to keep going for the Lord and to help them in whatever way we can, whether that be through gospel tract, whether that be through prayer, whether that be through taking a missions trip and being hands-on. Harvest in the Fields is a ministry that has been birthed from the desire from both me and my wife to love on missionaries, and having served as a missionary myself and continuing to do so, it has caused me to see what a blessing it is when someone loves on you and it appreciates what you're doing for the Lord, and it caused a desire in my heart and in the heart of my family to be used of the Lord to do the same thing. And finally, how you can get involved. There are several ways that you can be involved in Harvest in the Fields, whether it be financially. You can help support the ministry and support the cost of shipping tracts and shipping supplies to missionaries around the world and throughout the country. But you can also help by being hands-on in the ministry and partnering with us in many different ways. We have a trip to New Mexico coming up soon, and we'll need drivers to be able to haul tracts across the country. We have folks that come out on a weekly basis to go out and to knock doors. And whether it be here at Harvest or at your local church, get involved in personal evangelism and doing something for the Lord. You can support us prayerfully, and that is most important. We covet your prayers and we desire your prayers, and we don't take that lightly. There is nothing that cannot be accomplished through the avenue of prayer. The Bible says, for all things what should be asked in prayer, believing, ye shall receive. And we believe that if if we come to the Lord in prayer, we have faith that He is going to work on our behalf. He is faithful and just to do that. So please be in prayer for Harvest in the Fields and for the ministry and what the Lord will be doing in the days ahead.